With the rising cost of living and food pricing, the average American spends around $174 per grocery trip. 57% of consumers tend to choose which grocery store to shop from based off the quality of their products. Everyone has their own preferences when it comes to picking their protein sources, and those preferences are often shaped by factors like farming practices, the use of antibiotics and hormones, or how sustainable the production is. 62% of items purchased from grocery stores are butcher meats like chicken, beef, and pork, and 32% of items purchased are in the seafood category, things like fish, shrimp, mussels, crabs, lobsters. Many consumers tend to take the time to research where their food is coming from so that they can get the best quality for the best prices. But when it comes to salmon, how much do we really know about what we're buying? In this video, I'll focus on guiding consumers on how to find and buy the most environmentally sustainable options of salmon. When shopping for meat, most consumers are guided by cues like store brand, organic, or grass-fed labels, and whether or not the product is free-range, hormone-free, or locally sourced. But when shopping for salmon, those cues tend to broaden and become less intuitive. We're given things like wild caught or farm raised or sustainably sourced, and these labels can be confusing, especially for people who don't entirely understand what these things mean in terms of environmental impact. There are two categories of salmon that are offered at the supermarket: wild caught and farm raised. Wild caught salmon is exactly how it sounds. Species of salmon that are harvested straight from their natural environment like oceans or rivers rather than raised on a farm. The wild lifestyle of a salmon provides for a more lean, flavorful, and vibrantly colored fish due to its diet of naturally occurring food sources. Farm salmon are grown in controlled environments such as open net pens or recirculating aquaculture systems. These fish have a higher fat content, a milder flavor, and tend to get their color from added nutrients and antioxidants. So what even is salmon farming? Salmon farming is a type of finfish aquaculture. Finfish aquaculture is the farming of fish for human use and consumption, just like how livestock is raised on land. These fish begin their lives in hatcheries where the eggs are fertilized and they're carefully raised until they're large enough to be transferred to another ecosystem, such as a pond, an open net pen, a recirculating or integrated multi-trophic aquaculture system where they continue the rest of their growth until they are harvested. Salmon aquaculture tends to be done using open net pens in coastal waters. The fish are contained in large mesh enclosures where they are still able to experience the ocean and its currents. Other salmon farms use land-based recirculating aquaculture systems, which offer more control over water quality aspects like temperature, oxygen, and waste by recirculating and filtering the water. This offers more sustainable and biosecure conditions for the fish. Salmon farming helps us to meet the rising global demand for this fish without relying solely on wild populations. But it still raises questions about the environmental impact of the waste management, the disease spread, and the sustainability of the fish feed, which are all worth having awareness of when consumers are deciding which type of salmon to buy. We generally know what to look for when we're deciding if a butcher meat is sustainably sourced, but how do we tell if salmon is? Both wild-caught and farm salmon can be considered unsustainable under certain circumstances. The level of sustainability depends on several factors. These factors include things like the location where the fish was caught, what types of nets or equipment were used, what kind of aquaculture system the fish are being raised in, and whether or not there were chemicals or antibiotics involved. Other important aspects to think about include things like the management of diseases, the water quality, and the overall impact on the surrounding ecosystems. If you want to do some personal research and go more in depth on the certain species and their sustainability, you should check out the Monterey Bay Aquarium's website and look at their Seafood Watch. The Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch rates fish based on their environmental sustainability. They have 3 different categories: green rated, yellow rated, and red rated. Green rated being the most environmentally sustainable, yellow rated meaning there is significant uncertainty on the sustainability of the farming or fishing practices, and red rated being not environmentally sustainable. The Monterey Bay Aquarium has some really good suggestions on buying salmon on this website. They recommend buying U.S. wild-caught salmon as there's such a small amount that are red rated. They also state that salmon is safe to buy if it's certified by the Aquaculture Stewardship Council or the Marine Stewardship Council. They recommend buying farm salmon only if it's from a recirculating aquaculture system. They also say to avoid buying farmed salmon from Canada, Chile, Norway, and Scotland as these countries have the highest level of red-rated farm salmon species. Their Seafood Watch is a great resource and learning tool to get yourself educated about the types of fish that you're buying from the supermarket. And they have lots of information on other species of farmed and wild-caught fish, not just salmon. To put it simply, think about salmon the same way you think about your other proteins. Meat that is grass-fed with no antibiotics from a local and small-scale farm is like green-rated wild-caught salmon. Cage-free organic chicken is like farm-raised salmon in a recirculating aquaculture system. And large-scale farm-raised beef compares to open-net farmed salmon. Once you understand these parallels, it makes it a lot easier to spot the most sustainable options and pick the salmon that's right for you on your next grocery trip. Thanks for watching and listening, and remember, sustainability starts with what's on your plate.